Hello. Oh my goodness. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. It's morning
Wow.
for us here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful morning. Maybe the beginning of what we call golden season.
Oh, for sure. Can't you see all the goldenrod and all the grasses and the leaves?
Yeah.
It's a special time of year where it switches from a summer, which is humid and hot, into this kind of more dry, and the sun feels really good, and the mornings are kind of cool, and you want to have a cup of tea and you want to put on your sweater. But then by midday, it's beautiful, and you can be in shorts, and it just is so lovely, and everything's starting to kind of come to fruition and then starting to fall, but not
Yeah.
quite. And it's everything turns golden, and the light is golden, and so we call it golden season. Yeah.
Today we wanted to talk about strangers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
The world seems to be filled with them. I think,
Mhm.
yeah, there's a couple of things that spurred this conversation. One is, I haven't told you about this, but
Oh, we get to,
the,
you're going to tell me something in front of people that I don't know yet. This is very exciting. I don't
oh,
know if you've ever done that.
well, this is just a book we're reading, and I've skipped ahead a little bit to kind of see, do I think
What?
this book would be a good, because we read books to each other at night. This one is on mysticism, and it's by a modern mystic, and he is talking about different things. But later on in the book, he talks about his work with the homeless in Chicago
Mm.
and how he approaches the people, which I can talk about later in the video. But that's one of the things that for me has been spurring it. But
I had a conversation. Well, I'll call it a conversation with a friend. And she was just talking about her love of interacting with strangers
mm,
and of how that's kind of a special thing that we don't maybe think about, or at least I didn't think about it when she brought it up. Her saying, I really love to be able to be present with a stranger. And because, kind of in a way, they don't expect anything from me, I'm somebody they don't know. I love showing up with more kindness or more uh, presence with them than they might expect, and leave them feeling, wow, that person was so amazing, or and you'll never see them again. And so it for me, it begged the question, why does that feel so nice? Because we've always enjoyed
oh,
kind
yeah.
of, I guess I would say, showing up for strangers and meeting kind of uh, their humanity, that connection. But why? What point does it serve if you'll never see someone again? Who cares? Shouldn't you just? Those should be the people you're like, well, whatever. I don't know them. They don't know me. Who cares? But why? Why is that a special thing?
That can be our cultural training, I think, is if something isn't going to have future fruit, then why do it?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there's also a fear, stranger danger.
Mm,
And we're kind of encouraged
yeah.
to teach our children to avoid anybody that is a stranger, to just not interact. Now, there's definitely some times, especially if your intuition is going beep, 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 that you don't want to approach or interact with a stranger.
Yeah.
But so often, this can become a sort of apathy where we can be walking into a shop and someone's coming behind us. And instead of taking that moment just to hold open the door and
Mm-hmm.
smile and greet them, we just walk through and let the door close. And
I think I talked last time too about just being on our phones, or
oh,
one of the
yes.
messages, and just like, I mean, how would you feel if you were helping someone and they were just okay, and it's like you don't even exist. Yeah.
And I think we've all had those experiences when someone, a stranger, goes out of their way for us, or just gives us a huge smile.
Yeah.
And those are standout moments. They really can light us up,
So why?
both giving and receiving them.
Yeah. Why? What's and who cares? Like, what's the importance? Is it something that we should do?
I think, you know, to me, as I was thinking about this last night, I was thinking about ephemeral art. And there's
Mm.
something awesome about making a sculpture that is going to last for 1,000 years and be seen by generations to come. But there's also something
Mm.
magical about creating a sculpture on the seashore that within a couple hours will be swallowed up by the tide
Mm.
and gone forever.
You're thinking about Andrew Goldsworthy?
Yeah, I
And there's
am.
a lot of other modern ephemeral artists too that the artwork this isn't just like, oh, some little thing. This is like a huge sculpture or an intricately hours long beautiful piece of art that's like stunning, and it's just not going to last. Yeah, it gives me goosebumps, and I wonder
Yeah.
why.
I think it connects us with a part of life. Here's a way to think of it, for me at least, is that when I create something permanent, when I need to photograph that moment, when I need to create a sculpture that's going to last forever, in a way, I'm buying into a mental construct of how would I say this? When we really look around at the world around us, it's always shifting and changing.
Mm.
Some things slowly. The mountains change so slowly that in our lifetime, unless you live by the mountain, you might see a couple avalanches and some things that shift and change it
Mm.
a little bit. But but in general, there's some things that we don't even perceive the change. There's other things like that pine tree along our driveway that change slowly.
Mm-hmm.
We're certainly not going to see a difference one week to another to our eyes,
Mm-hmm.
but we do see a difference over the last couple of
Yeah.
years, actually a profound one. And then there's this nature of ourselves and the people around us, which we try to permanentize often. We try to think this is who Rebecca is.
Mm.
But then I never can truly appreciate you because I'm only appreciating the model in my head of who you are, who I think you are.
Mm.
And the real you won't match up to that. And thus, I end up appreciating a fantasy rather than the real you. The real you
Mm.
is who I want to know, that
Yeah.
has shifting emotions and everything that changes about you in every moment. There's this beautiful shifting transformation change that's happening all the time. And in the guise of a stranger, we get a chance to meet Divine Mother in a form that is so new to us
Mm-hmm.
and that will not be lasting likely to us. Because, as you say, we likely will never see this person again.
Right.
It's very possible, especially in a bigger city or something like that. And how will we meet that part of the world that says something about us in our current perception of life, in our current
Mm-hmm.
engagement of life? Am I going to disregard the stranger because it's ephemeral and my mind is clinging only to the things that I perceive as being permanent? Or can I immerse myself in that moment?
Mm. Yeah. It's interesting because we share different things with different people, but I love the reminder, in a way, interacting with a stranger like that, where you make eye connection, you might share, a story or a moment of laughter or even just a knowing look and never even exchange anything verbal. It is to me a, a reassurance in a way. One, that just culturally, the world is a friendlier place than I think it is. I think there's a collective illusion going on that the world is a bad place and that humans are bad people in general. We're falling apart. Look at the news. Well, the funny thing is that in general, for most people I know and for myself, the people I encounter are actually a lot like me. And they have, their life that they're trying to live, and they're trying to do the best that they can. And they want, to be loved, and they want their people they care about to have a good life. And so meeting that stranger for that moment of what I would consider kind of a micro intimate connection, it's special. Uh, it's a reflection back to me as well, then, not just of, hey, the world is full of people that are more like you than you think, but it's also as though Divine Mother's coming in and sort of saying, hey, I'm here. I'm here in this person, and I'm here in this person, and I'm here in this person. In fact, I'm in every person, and we can access that, each other. It's the namaste kind of that happens, that just gives you this little spark that I think is different when you have a deep, meaningful relationship with someone that has its own perks and its own advantages. But when you have that connection, you also know that that other person is seeing you,
Right.
that way too. You are this little special thing for a moment, meeting, two little fireflies in the night. Oh, hi, psh, okay, bye. And you each see each other's spark. And so I like that reflection back to me. Maybe that sounds selfish, but of yes,
Yeah.
I can be anything I choose to be, and I can be there right in this moment.
That's part of the magic of this, I think, is that we are strangers. We get to be strangers to so many people.
Yeah.
And what will that encounter be like for them? So it's not just us looking out at the strangers, it's that we get to take that role. I, I think it's so important to hit on what you were talking about. A friend of mine just did a video recently where he was talking about the illusion created by our media of the world's falling apart, everybody's against each other and mean.
Mm,
And he said, and he lives in a city, and he came out and said, you know what? Everywhere I go, people are pretty darn nice to each other. There's
yeah.
some bad apples here and there, but people are pretty darn nice to each other. And that's always been our experience. Now, of course, if you are convinced by the media that everything is bad and you need to be fearful of people, that will radiate out of your just your facial expression, let alone any kind of other energies you're projecting. And people will probably look at you as in fear, and you will experience what that hypnosis has been hypnotizing us into.
Yeah.
But if you go out with an open, curious heart, seeing the strangers around you as you, right? As fellow
Hmm.
strangers, then what are people really like? We get to experience a different face of the world.
It makes me think of our good friends Lori and Elia,
Oh,
who
yeah.
did last year an amazing trust experiment. And they are from England and Australia, cousins. Maybe we can put a link
Yeah,
to
yeah,
their,
let's do it.
yeah, to their experiment. And their experiment was to cross all of the United States. They had not been to the United States, all of the United States in 1 month, from coast to coast, in 30 days, without any money, surviving only on what came from strangers. And it is so, the thing that I found so interesting was that they had so many positive encounters. In fact, I don't really even think they had any actual negative encounters. They experienced a lot of rejection, in terms of, oh, I'm not going that way, or oh, I'm not able to help you. But it was interesting to hear us in America, the
Mm.
United States, saying, oh, you've got to be careful, or oh, what are you doing, it's crazy, or oh, our country is, like,
This is
you got it,
dangerous, right?
yeah, do you understand, like, America's falling apart. And yet, in all those 30 days, they never once,
Sleeping in strangers' houses, getting rides from complete
never once
strangers.
were they robbed or put in danger, or, as far as I even know, even like made fun of, or, people might have said, oh, you guys are crazy. But equally more people said, oh, I wish I could do that. And so interesting to see our concept of ourselves in this country, and yet the actuality was completely different. And sometimes I wonder if it just comes down to that collective illusion. We are told and we believe so often that the world is falling apart, everybody's unkind, that that's what we think. And then in a weird way, when you think that, you begin to create that. You don't reach out, you don't hold the door, you don't treat someone, who's helping you, you just do the phone thing. And then we begin to create what we think it is, even though it's not that way.
Yeah, it's so odd. But the more I go through life, the more I see that, not only in my own experience with the world, but people telling me. someone that you can read. They're suspicious, they're fearful, and then their experiences, what they experience out there, is people taking advantage of them and
Yeah.
being mean, and it's almost as if we're being asked to, again, I come back to that word curiosity,
Mm.
to be radically curious. Curiosity doesn't have a judgment that it puts on something beforehand. Again, we do this within sensibility, but if I approach the world with that curiosity, that sense of wonder, it always appears differently. Do you have something?
No,
Yeah, go
please, you
ahead.
can finish your thought.
Because I'm going to kind of shift into the more mystical aspect of this whole.
Oh, okay. Well, all I was thinking of was just that I look at our culture, and again, who knows, maybe this is just collective illusion, and I don't know what's true, but I have seen it borne out kind of in walking around, and that is that I feel that a lot of our anxiety culturally probably comes from as though not feeling as though I can reach out to a stranger or that I can be a stranger and be seen. The
Mm,
biggest thing we want in this world is to be seen, and yet we're beginning to hide behind our devices so much. You know, you don't have to talk to a person at a checkout anymore. You can have things delivered to your house like the very next day, and no one will bother you if you're on your cell phone. And we saw that at Real University with some of our monks, really, even confessing, yeah, when I get out into public, I just put my phone up and then I don't have to talk to anybody. And it seems as though we're losing the ability to reach out to each other. All we are is earthlings on this planet together. We're all the same in that respect, The aliens come down, we are all the same. And I wonder if we could teach and you know, I'm thinking how do you share that with your kids? How do you give them the discernment this person is okay to reach out to, this person isn't, if you don't have it yourself,
yeah.
if you don't practice it and you have that anxiety. So I wonder if that could in a way be a, a balsam, a balm for this kind of cultural anxiety, is putting the phone down or putting our walls down for a moment and just smiling at someone, just holding the door. It's very simple. You'll never probably see them again. And if you do, they'll probably smile at you.
So I think the next level of this is starting to see, we've already talked about seeing yourself as a stranger, seeing our shared humanity, seeing other people as fellow dwellers on this planet. But if we see everybody as Divine Mother playing that role, then to me things get very intimate and fun.
Mm.
So, however we've been brought up, we probably have some internal judgments that bump up against our curiosity. So I see another person and the way that they're dressed, or it could be the color of their skin, it could be a necklace or some tattoos. I see something that doesn't necessarily give me that intuition of this person could actually be dangerous, but it triggers judgments
Mm.
of that person is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Maybe they're really attractive and I feel intimidated by that, or they are really big and strong, or they just have
Could
something
just
about
be
them.
somebody that, they remind you of someone that you maybe had a
Yeah.
negative interaction with in the past, and maybe they have nothing to do, and they're not like that at all. They're the opposite, but you think, oh, it so reminds me of, whoever that we had that falling out.
Yeah. So if we think there's Divine Mother shapeshifting into this being, this stranger, to me that often can set aside those judgments and put me into that curiosity.
Mhm.
Like, because the person in a way then becomes someone that I already love. That's the magic of the path of Divine Mother, is that when we see her becoming everything, we start to fall in love with everything in the world. And then I can look at that person, I can feel those little judgments come up, and then I can go, there's Divine Mother. I wonder what
Yeah.
what interaction I'm going to have with her if I go over and talk to that aspect of her.
I really love that because, and it's not like you have to talk to every stranger and interact and have something special with every stranger. So that's one thing to remember, because then you might think, well, how will I ever get through, the grocery store? But I think there's a receptivity that opens up when we start to see everyone as Divine Mother. And then we also can kind of know that the people that we quote should encounter, Divine Mother will kind of step into our life as.
Yeah.
But I feel as though, and this is kind of in a way abated by this viewpoint, is that we're hardwired to see what's different, to notice the differences, because that will keep us safe. You go back to the tiger stripes in the forest, okay? um, but we don't live in that kind of a world in the same way anymore. And I think that when we see other people as Divine Mother, that allows that receptivity, that curiosity, and it allows us to maybe ask, hey, what's similar? And to notice what's similar. And I think we've probably all been in a situation where we have been that stranger and we have been judged to be the not okay person. And it
Yeah.
feels very odd because you kind of know yourself and you think, oh, I'm a, like I'm really a willing, helpful, happy person, and this person has judged me to be the opposite. And so it just, wouldn't it be different if someone's kind of came to you with the judgment of what's similar,
Yeah.
and then you've got Divine Mother kind of giving you all these opportunities to sort of examine what you believe, how you interact with the world.
That's helped us with the Amish a lot here. When we first came here, I was kind of scared of the Amish, intimidated by that. They dress differently, they have a different religion, they speak a different language, so many things different
That's not
about
bad.
them.
I said darn in front of one of them. And then afterwards, I was like, oh, what was that, like a swear word? And I just swore in front of them. I think my biggest fear was being disrespectful
Of their
unintentionally
yeah.
to them. And all I wanted to do was be respectful. But that's where I think you have to, in some ways, go beyond just what is spoken. Interacting with strangers is a lot about feeling this intuitive connection and understanding the try,
Yeah.
acknowledging if somebody isn't getting it right when they're interacting with you, but you can kind of understand, hey, they're not from my culture. You acknowledge the try, not the semantics of things, but the actual feeling of them wanting to make a connection. I feel that in the Amish community, that's been very understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've encountered curiosity about our way of life. It's
Yeah.
been such a neat connection that I don't think could have been there if we had
Of,
not seen them in that open-hearted, curious way.
yeah.
Wow.
So, share with us your thoughts about that. It there's so much to all of these topics, so many different angles, but I guess our encouragement would be to go out this week and just try interacting with some strangers. Pick some people that radiate a super friendliness already, and it's, if you're nervous about it, and just pick the person who's already smiling and already, happily sharing with people, and try just having a little conversation, or try holding the door open for someone. And if you feel like you want to go more advanced, look for someone who seems like they're having a bad day and see if you can just get them to smile.
That's a nice thing about this practice. It can go anywhere from just flashing someone a smile
Mm-hmm.
to you come back to Lori and Elia sitting there on the in California with their hugs sign,
Yeah.
free hugs, and just giving people hugs.
If you watch that, watch your judgment, because for me, I'm going to be completely honest. We all have judgment, and I was like, wow, I never thought that person would go up and give them a hug, or I never thought that person would go up and give them a hug. There were so many times I thought, wow, well, how am I so judgmental? everybody just, these people are all walks of life, all, men, women, kids, whatever. And I just found it so interesting to see all of these people just wanted, we just, hey, I love a hug. It was cool. It was really neat.
Oh,
So give it a try and, share your experience with us if you want to. We always love to hear from you.
yeah.
So,
All right.
yeah, so grateful for you.
Love to you all.